welcome to part 15 of Mark the Day. Let us go have a talk with Mark. January the 24th, 2025 by man's calendar. Now I want to recap the verse that I just read in the last part and talk some more about it. So this is Mark 7, verse 29. Oh, wait, let's go to verse 28 so there'll be understanding. Well, that's true, Lord. Okay, let's go back to verse 27 so there is complete understanding of this whole situation. But Jesus said to her, "Let the children first be filled, for it is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to the dogs." Now remember, this little woman is a Syrophoenician from Greece. And I want to give you a little background on that. A Syrophoenician is a term used to describe a person who lived in the region of Tyre and Sidon when it was part of the Roman province of Syria. So that just to give you a little background, maybe help a little understanding of where this woman's from. And she's a Syrophoenician, and she's come, and the Lord told her not to give the food to the dogs. And in verse 28, and she answered and said to him, "Yes, Lord, yet the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs." That means leftovers. And he said to her, "For this thing go your way, the devil is gone out of your daughter." Because he perceived what she was saying to him. She was a Syrophoenician, a Gentile, and he still treated her well. He didn't even have to be where she was, where her daughter was. I mean, he just spoke the word and it was done. And when she was come to her house, she found the devil gone out and her daughter laid upon the bed. And again, departing from the coast of Tyre and Sidon, he came to the Sea of Galilee through the midst of the coast of Decapolis. And they bring to him one that was deaf and had an impediment in his speech. Deaf and dumb, as they used to call it. And they beseeched him to put his hand upon him. And he took him aside from the multitude and put his fingers into his ears. And he spat and touched his tongue. He got the spittle on his fingers from his tongue, in other words. And looking up to heaven. Now he put that in that man's ears, mind you. And looking up to heaven, he sighed and said to him, he sighed and said to him, Ephphathiah, have. That is, be open. And immediately his ears were opened, and the string of his tongue was loose, and he spoke plain. And he charged them that they should tell no man. But the more he charged them, so much the more a great deal they published it, and were beyond measure astonished, saying, He has done all things well. He makes both the deaf to hear and the dumb to speak. Wow. You know, everything that Jesus ever did was not even recorded in the Word of God. Many things that he did went unrecorded. You're aware of that, right? Look at all the things that he does that nobody ever really hears about because they're giving his glory to something else or someone else every day. Well, let us go on into chapter 8, and this will be my last part for this evening because I need to get some rest. But, and I need time to just pray and meditate upon things that even I learned during these little readings. But anyways, going on into chapter 8. In those days, the multitude being very great, and having nothing to eat, Jesus called his disciples to him and says to them, I have compassion on the multitude, because they have now been with me 3 days. 3 days. And have nothing to eat. And if I send them away fasting to their own houses, they will faint by the way. For divers of them came from far. Some of them came from real far. In today's time, if you have to drive an hour and sit on a hard pew, y'all think that you're dying. If it ain't a padded pew in a heat or air controlled building, and you have to drive more than 30 minutes, you don't want to go. If you can't stop and get you something to eat along the way and fill your gluttonous stomach, you don't want to go. It's always got to be something. Something besides the Word of God, something besides edifying God, has to be in it for you, or you won't go. So, how are you there for the Lord? What? You know, the services would be so much better if everyone was coming just to edify God and give him praise for all he's done for them throughout the week. Or however long it's been since they've been in church, because some people go longer than a week. Anyways, going on. And his disciples answered him, From where can a man satisfy these men with bread here in the wilderness? See, they had forgotten about the other 5 fish, or the 5 loaves and 2 fish, I mean. Remember, their hearts were hardened toward that. They had forgotten about that miracle. When he come to them on the boat even, walking on the water, they had forgotten about that. And his disciples answered him, Where from where can a man satisfy these men with bread here in the wilderness? And he asked them, How many loaves have you? And they said, 7. Oh, see, they've got 7 loaves now. And he commanded the people to sit down on the ground, and he took the 7 loaves and gave thanks and broke and gave to his disciples to set before them. And they did set them before the people. And they had a few small fishes, and they have a few, which is at least 3, right? Plus 7 loaves of bread. That's more than what they had before for the 5,000 plus. And they had a few small fish, and he blessed and commanded to set them also before them. So they did eat and were filled. And they took up of the broken meat that was left 7 baskets. They took up 12 at the first one, took up 7 at this one. And they that had eaten were about 4,000. And he, see, less people even, and more food. And they was complaining. And they had eaten were about 4,000, and he sent them away. And immediately he entered into a ship with his disciples and came into a part of Dalmatia. And the Pharisees came forth and began to question with him, seeking of him a sign from heaven, tempting him. And he sighed deeply in his spirit and says, Why does this generation seek after a sign? Verily I say to you, there shall no sign be given to this generation. And he left them and entered into a ship again and departed to the other side. Now the disciples had forgotten to take bread, neither had they in the ship with them more than 1 loaf. And he charged them, saying, Take heed, beware of the leavening of the Pharisees and of the leavening of Herod. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, It is because we have no bread. And when Jesus knew it, he says to them, Why reason you because you have no bread? Perceive you not, yet neither understand? Have you your heart yet hardened? Having eyes to see, having eyes, see you not, and having ears, hear you not, and do you not remember? Remember, their hearts were hardened. They had forgotten the first. So we'll pick back up. We'll go back through this again in the next part when I get a chance to get it up. But I gotta get some rest for tonight. So we'll pick back up at verse 17, Mark 8:17, in the next part. See you there.